Let's talk about bail reform for a second. Because if your only experience with this conversation is from the American point of view, the Canadian conversation is a little more nuanced. Let's start by saying that it's tragic that an OPP officer died this way, and it sucks that it was somebody who had previously been arrested, because this should have never happened. But let's talk about the Canadian bail system and why it is what it is. Essentially, the modern iteration, which was brought about by Trudeau, was brought about because of court cases. While some of the choices were Trudeau's to make, similar to Made, this was something that came out of the court system. And one of the main problems with bail is that it can keep people behind bars, especially poor people, even if later they are found to be innocent. And even if they're found innocent, that time spent behind bars can essentially bankrupt them, cause them to lose their jobs, family, etc. So while in America, when they talk about bail reform, it's to make things better for people. In Canada, when people typically talk about bail reform, it's to make it a little more restrictive because we have a very, very progressive bail system. And there definitely is a conversation to be had as to whether or not certain parts of our bail system could be tightened up to make sure that incidents like this do not occur again. But what the premiers are suggesting is unhelpful and essentially a smear job on Trudeau. It doesn't really make much sense. They're asking for a reverse onus on bail, which should be created for the offense of possession of a loaded, prohibited, or restricted firearm, but that already exists. That's already in the law. They think that somebody accused of that crime should have to demonstrate why their detention is not justified when they were alleged to have committed an offense where there was an imminent risk to the public. But that's also already part of our bail system. And if you go through the premier's requests one by one, basically every single thing is already in our system. I'm not saying that we don't need to look at things. I'm not saying that we don't need to tighten things up. I'm just saying that the conversation needs to be productive.